So you might be asking yourself, why is Don Steeler floating next to that Crimestat? Did Don Steeler get a job as a Crimestat repairman through a company that's inconceivably called Quantum Crimestats? Because this is Star Citizen and everything is named Quantum? And why is my inner monologue Don Steeler's voice? We'll get to the answers to those questions in a moment, but first, join me on a new segment I call Musings. So today I wanted to talk about prison gameplay. And to start this conversation, let's start with why have an in-game prison? So this is probably best answered by asking why we have jails and prison in real life. Without getting too real-life political here, something I try to avoid on this channel, here's the broad strokes. Broadly, the goal of jail and prison is to remove someone who is committing acts against the stability of society as a whole. So things like wanton destruction of property, endangering others, hurting others, killing others, stealing, and so on, crimes that undermine society. This is why criminal cases are called the people versus so-and-so, because it is society, the people, saying, we want to remove you from society for X amount of time to protect society from you. Or you need to pay a fine to our society to make our society whole for the damage that you did. There's also civil law, which is victim versus perpetrator directly. So not society holding a person accountable for their actions, but an individual holding another individual accountable for their actions. Here, the perpetrator won't be sent to prison, but they will be required to compensate the victim for the damages caused. This is damages in a broader sense than, say, blowing something up or killing someone. I doubt we'll have any need for the complexity of civil cases or torts in Star Citizen, but criminal cases are a different story. A secondary objective of prison is sometimes to rehabilitate a person so that they want to be a more productive member of society, rather than a criminal element undermining it. With that in mind, having an in-game criminal system, along with a penalty of prison, is a way of giving a player a timeout, as well as giving the rest of the community a break from that player. The tricky part is doing this in a way that's fun, that has some element of punishment, but isn't overly punishing. This is a tough balancing act. Star Citizen is a game that includes not only the potential of criminal gameplay, but Gameloop specifically designed around it. There's criminal missions, for example. There's whole events surrounding Jumptown, a drug lab, where you can work either side. Criminal elements exist in this game. Players are expected and encouraged to act in a criminal manner on occasion if they choose to do so. Players can steal stuff, attack other players, pirate other players, kill NPCs and other players. These are all planned game loops. However, this is balanced by keeping in mind the enjoyment of the game for the other side of the equation as well. If you have a player who gets blown up over and over and over again by the same player or the same type of player, and there doesn't seem to be any consequence whatsoever for that happening, that player who is not engaging in that gameplay is going to assume, rightly so, that this isn't the game for them. CIG very much wants this to be a game for them too, so while attacking other players and engaging in criminal behavior is encouraged and is a designed part of the game, so are the consequences for those actions. By the same token as players should understand that criminal loops are in the game, those who want to behave criminally shouldn't be upset when their bill comes due. Okay, so you have criminal loops that will reward players for acting criminally, and you have consequences for acting criminally that should, in theory, help keep the criminal actions from taking over the game. Both play styles will get most of what they want. People that want that loop can engage in it, but the more active they are, the more likely someone will track them down and put them into prison. The longer they last, the higher that bill will get. For players on the receiving end, there's some consolation that eventually that bill will get so high that someone will make that criminal player pay up and send them to prison. If what the criminal player did was particularly egregious, they'll be in that prison for a while, meaning that the lawful player will have a nice long break from that particular criminal. Now we're to the part where I talk about the actual prison experience itself in this game. So why have an in-game prison game loop? So people keep playing the game even while they're being removed from the larger community. To do that, the prison game loop needs to accomplish a few things. It needs to be engaging enough that people don't quit the game and do something else, either temporarily or permanently. It can't be so punitive that people don't want to play anymore, or at least play while they're serving in-game prison time. It needs to be punitive enough that people both want to get out and play the wider game, but engaging enough that they'll stick around to play while their character is in prison. Finally, it opens the door for the rehabilitation aspect, and a player might decide that they've gone and played the prison loop enough that they might decide to go straight. On the flip side, there might be players who go full kingpin and decide to make their gameplay experience dominating and running the prison. Who knows if CIG will ever go that far with the loop though. It's a delicate balance, and CIG is going to have a hell of a time dialing that in. For 3.18, it sounds like CIG will be adding a few more elements to prison gameplay. There will be an outside mission giver giving illicit missions to the prisoners. At the moment this is vague, but might include assassinating NPCs or maybe even players that are in the prison. CIG also seems to be adding more PvP to the prison experience, allowing you to loot other players to reduce your own sins, as long as you aren't caught. These seem to support the theory that the majority of people going to prison will be PvPers, so giving them a PvP experience will mean their stay will be interesting and engaging enough that they won't just take a couple days off from the game while their sentence runs. But this brings me back to crime and punishment though, and a place where I think CIG is dropping the ball. This in-prison PvP game loop is all well and good if you're a PvPer. Part of the fun of the criminal game loop is seeing how long you can get away with it. At the moment, players are being sent to prison for crimes that really shouldn't be as punitive as sending a player to prison for an extended length of time, especially not if they're going to be tossed into that prison with a bunch of players who are so into violent PvP that they're willing to risk in-game prison to engage in it. Of course, there's the argument if you can't do the time, don't do the crime, but by the same token, there are in-game crimes that you shouldn't be doing time for at all. I'd say the majority of the non-violent crimes should really just have a monetary punishment. The player should just be fined for their actions. If they have a particularly large number of unpaid fines or a long history and reputation of committing these minor acts, then they should be sent to prison. This would dovetail nicely with CIG's reputation system. A new player wouldn't have a reputation one way or the other, so that wouldn't apply to them. They'd be assessed a fine and learn from that. This is a better option than immediately tossing a brand new player into a prison situation with seasoned players who really want PvP. That's a toxic mix, and it will drive new players away from this game. I really hope that, along with the new prison game loops, CIG also moves some of the lesser crimes to monetary penalties rather than prison. Sure, have a threshold that keeps things in check, and that'll have to be dialed in, but it doesn't take a fortune teller to see the obvious pitfalls on this one. Really hoping CIG doesn't fall into them before seeing them this time. So that's the end of this musing on prison. Let's show the prison game loop as it stands now in 3.17.2. So I'm going to try to kick my crime stat up a bit here. Then I'll let some lucky player on the server collect my bounty and send me a Klescher. If no one collects that bounty, then I'll just go land there, get destroyed, and we'll spawn there. I'll show you a couple of the illicit missions that'll kick your crime stat up quickly, and then we'll go to prison. I'll show you the things that you can do there, bugs allowing. Cross your fingers. Hey everybody. Okay, so as that sort of long-winded intro kind of let you in, if you were just here for the musings on prison, you can cut out now. I'm basically just going to show prison gameplay. So my whole thoughts on the prison experience were in the section before. This section is going to be on actually playing in prison, how you get a crime stat, that kind of thing. Been a while since I've done a crime stat, and I haven't been to the prison since 3:15, and from what I understand, there's been some changes. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing to know, actually, not that. First thing is on your HUD. So if you look right up here in the upper right, you can sort of see there's a sort of satellite signal and a little no shooting signal. When you have a crime stat, you'll actually have another signal there that will be a head with like little red bars going around it, and you can get up to, I think, 4 bars, and on that's your level of crime stat. So 1 just generally means you owe fine. Anything higher than that, security is going to be shooting at you. So if you're wondering why stations like Everest Harbor here are just blowing you away, it's because you got a crime stat. So the important thing on crime stats is actually that first one up there, that satellite symbol. That means you are under the sort of the view of a comsat. And what comsats do is basically narc you out. So if you commit a crime and that symbol is on, then they know you committed a crime, everybody knows you committed a crime, and you'll get the crime stat. So one of the ways you can get around that is shutting off the comsats, which itself is a crime and you will get a crime stat for. But if you send one person in to shut off the comsat and the rest of your buddies go and commit a crime, or if you go somewhere where you can clear your crime stat, then you can commit that crime where that comsat would cover and you'll be in the clear. So one thing to keep in mind, those symbols up in the upper right do matter. Obviously you can actually shoot. I don't know if you can shoot. Yeah, so I mean, we're technically in an armistice zone and I can shoot now, but if I were to shoot someone, I'd get a crime stat. So not all of them will do that. I don't think they'll let you shoot in the actual city. So like Lorville, New Babbage, Orison, anywhere where there'll be actual people walking around on the ground in a big city, they actually shut off your guns. But most other places, most stations, you can use them. So let's get on to getting crime stats. So one of the reasons that that the prison gameplay in 3.18, I'm hoping they bring it with a tweak, is you can get a crime stat where you will go to prison in this game right now very, very, very easily. There's very little grace period, and if you're a new player, you could easily get a crime stat and not even know you have one, not even know you did anything wrong, and all of a sudden the station blows you up, and your first 10 minutes in the game, all of a sudden you're stuck in Klescher prison, which when we get there, I'll show you what that is. So that's kind of the unintentional crime stats. You can do a lot of things. You can hang out in the wrong area for a little while, which might be if I can't get any of the good missions for ranking up your crime stat fast. I'll just go to Klescher and fly around there until I have a high crime stat, let them blow me up, and then I'll spawn there. Generally, you wouldn't do that. You'd be doing something to earn it. Obviously, blowing up other players who don't have crime stats will get you a really quick crime stat. That's murder. But there's a fair number of illicit missions. So if you come down to the contracts manager and you come here, some of the mercenary missions can be illicit, but not always. Usually anything under general is lawful. The missions that are under personal, on the other hand, can usually be done by someone shady. So you can see this one's from not listed. Why would somebody not list themselves? Because they're criminals. So doing something like this, you're probably okay. They'll have you pick up fluorine, so you're fine. Other times they'll have you pick up drugs, and around stations like this they'll have security, and that security will occasionally stop you and scan you, and if they scan you and you have drugs on you, they'll just start shooting at you. So you got to be a little bit cognizant of what's in your cargo hold, because if you're carrying around drugs and you run into those guys, you're either going to have to blow them up, which will give you a crime stat, or run away, which will give you a crime stat, or they can blow you up, which will send you to prison. So let's go into mercenary. So a lot of these, the Dusters are one of the gangs. You got the Dusters, the Nine Tails, and the Nova Riders. I think those are the three gangs that operate in Stanton system right now. So there's the Dusters, criminal gang. Nine Tails, criminal gang, not listed, so probably criminal. Sender not found, criminal. Chance to impress, Vaughn. He is a bad guy, mission giver. I think he's in New Babbage. I think he is the bartender in New Babbage. But you can sort of see these right here. They pay decent, so a lot of times new players will look at this and be like, oh wow, this is a mercenary job, clearing competition. I have no idea who the Dusters are because I just started. 35k, yeah, I'll do that. I've only got 5k in my bank account, so why not? You do this for the Dusters, you're basically killing, let's see, you're killing minors, so just not young people that are breaking up rocks. You're killing civilians so that the Dusters can come in and basically claim jump. You're not the good guy in that scenario. And same thing with all of these. Wire cutters. I think this is the one, data skimmer. So if you do this one, you'll get a crime stat. So I'm going to do this because I'll be attacked. So one thing, if you know you're going to get a crime stat, or if you think the chances are high and there's a chance you're going to get killed, let me see if I can actually look at my inventory while I'm here. Not that.
Engines offline. Engines
No.
online.
Can't look at your inventory while you're in there. But basically, I can show you this way. So right now I am in basic flight suit. So nothing I wouldn't mind losing, because when you go to prison, you're going to lose whatever you have on you. So I've got a bunch of copies of that helmet. The flight suit's just a regular flight suit, and I'm not even carrying so much as a pistol or a med pack. So let's go ahead and do this. I don't know why I keep hitting that button, but I do. Let's go ahead and run this mission. So catch me there. Okay, so here we are at Ada, and our target is right up here. So it's in that cluster of asteroids, which makes it a little bit sneaky. This is a lot like the mission that you'll do when you're blowing up the sentry guns when you're defending the miners. So the flip side of that Duster mission. So you'll notice the crimestat is up. So when I do this mission, I'll get a crime stat, because right now the crimestat is tracking me. It knows where I am and what I'm doing. So it's not hard for it to put 2 and 2 together and be like, so we're going to guess that the one guy that was out there where our scanners were is the guy that probably blew them up. So you busted. So here we go. So we're going to come on in. With these, it tends to be hit or miss whether there's other people there. There can be. Again, this is one of those times where I'm not actually caring if I go to prison. I am trying to go to prison, so I'll fight, but I'm not going to fight super hard. So let's go ahead and pick up our speed and get in there. Get the sun out of the way. If we were playing against people, I'd actually go a little bit tactical and come at them from this side where the sun is, so that they have to fire at me through the sun. Just blow everything out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to ping a couple times, because these things are sneaky. So they don't show up until you're like right on top of them. Typically you got to be within 10k before they'll start throwing up pings. I'm just seeing if there's other ships there. It won't be players, it'll always be NPCs. Unless you've actually got a crime stat, then bounty hunters might be coming for you depending on how high it is. All right, so we're all set. I'm gonna load up some decoys so you can sort of see right there. I loaded up 3 decoys, kind of my go-to. I think I might be getting into combat with other ships. So we're here. So now we're just going to slow down a little bit. Ping around. We're just looking for hits. There we go. See that? Right up there. There's another one right up there. So I think we'll kind of get 1 or 2 of these for free, but then it's going to start bringing in the UE. So here we go. So you see that's the PDIC monitor. A little bit closer. You typically want to get within 2,000 is kind of the golden area for shooting. Again, this isn't a ship. It's not going to move around, so I'm not really worried about it.
Check fire.
1 down, so you can see my crime stat just went up to 2. There's a new ship. So got a criminal problem. So right now, so it loads up these little missions, kind of tells you what's going on.
Check fire.
Oh, okay, so this is something else I can do. So it spawned me at Grim Hex, which is the one criminal place you can go. So your armistice zone privileges are revoked, which this can happen too. So let's go ahead and change up, not that, back up a little bit so that we're not clipping. So this is kind of an issue right now. Undersuit. So what I'm gonna do, oh yeah, that's right, I've got a bunch of suits here. Because this is what I was gonna do with Siege of Orson. Then my friends can get on board. So there we go. So I'm gonna go out in the noob suit. Basically, I want to get sent to Klescher. I thought that might do it. Oh, I can still go. That's fine. I can still finish off the mission. So let's finish off the mission, get a really high crime stat, and we'll go from there. So I'll see you back at the wire cutter. Oh, I've only got 2 minutes, so there's no way I couldn't make it. So I'm gonna do something else instead. All right. So again, right now, you can see in the upper right hand corner, I don't have a crime stat. So this is one of those things that can be confusing for new players. What's happening is Grim Hex is not, let's see, yes, I want that one.
Your insurance claim has been sent. Your vehicle has been moved to our storage facility.
Let me get this guy called up.
Vehicle selected.
So
Stand by.
Grim Hex is not under a ComSat. So what will happen is you'll be at Grim Hex and you'll be like, what the hell just happened to me? Why am I here? And the thing is that since it isn't under a ComSat, you don't have a criminal record here at Grim Hex. You have a criminal record where the UE has coverage, like Port Olisar or any of the civilized ports. So what I could do now, and what I'm going to show you, hopefully it shoots at me and kills me before I get there. We'll see. So watch that upper right hand corner. There. See how that came up? So now we're in UEE space. My crime stat comes back. Okay, so bring him back for a second here. So last time I mentioned that the illicit missions for Red Wind went away when my rep with them dropped. Now that I got a crime stat, I got all of the discrete missions. That could be because I'm around Yela and not because I have a crime stat. So one thing I'm going to do, I am going to go to Port Olisar. So if you were killed by security, or you're killed by a station or something like that, should go to Klescher. I think if you do something stupid like run into a little observation satellite, it just sends you to Grimhex. That might not be the case if you have a really high crime stat, but so in 318 what will happen is you can go to Security Post Correa, fight your way through a gauntlet of PvPers, fight your way through the guards on the station, have yourself a security card, hack the system, and wait while the system sends out alerts to the whole system that somebody's hacking them. You'll have all the bounty hunters come in to try to kill you, or you can do what I'm going to do right now. If you get a crime stat and you want to clear it, this might actually be the faster way to do it. Okay. Armistice. Here we go. So somebody's targeted us. So I shouldn't even be able to land here. I'm really surprised it hasn't started shooting at me yet. So what I typically do is shut off my shield.
Shields offline. Weapons online.
There we go. See how it's shooting at us? Turn off your shields. And just wait. They're not very good shots. This is why you don't typically need to worry about the stations, but here, you guys are shooting down here. There we go. All right. Hopefully see me in Klescher. This isn't Grimhex. So, you'll notice I'm wearing something slightly different.
Hello and welcome. You have been placed in a Klescher rehabilitation facility for violation of local law.
Okay. So there's a few things most people just go open the door and run out. Don't do that. So I'm going to show you this. This is Klescher. So you wake up in here. This is your prison cell. That's where you poop. When the pooping game loop is in, that's where you'll do it. So this is how you're dressed when you're in prison. So just as a reminder, and this is going to be important later, I for inventory. This is everything you're carrying right now. You'll notice that I do have a multi-tool. That's important. It can be bugged out, so heads up. So before you open the door and go out, come here. So what you want to do is enroll.
So you're interested in our work release program? It's pretty simple, lots of fun, and teaches you a valuable skill.
It does not.
Tool from the commissary unit and proceed into one of the authorized mining tunnels.
We already have one.
Potentially valuable minerals and harvest them with the multi-tool. Deposit them in one of the mineral hoppers, and you'll be issued a time reduction chit based on the total value of the deposit. Mineral prices are static and set by Klescher rehabilitation facilities and do not reflect real-world prices.
Yeah, they don't pay you crap. So basically Klescher is this is very dystopian. Wow, that is, I must be on the backside. This is pure dystopian. So basically Klescher is a company kind of real world. I knew I said I wouldn't get into real world politics, but they use prisoners to go out and mine for free, basically. So they collect all of the Haydenite and Dolomite and all of that and basically sell it for money, and all they have to do is hold a bunch of slave labor here. Granted, slave labor that broke the law. So you'll notice that gravity is less here. We're on a moon. So a few skills that you want to know before we go anywhere is, I'll get down where there's a little bit more open space. I'm trying to remember if regular gravity is out in the commissary area. I'll check that. But you can definitely see that the gravity is lower over here. There are guards that generally leave you alone. That might not be the case in 318. We haven't seen it yet. So, see how it looks like there's a gap on that fan? That's not because an artist goofed up their texturing. We'll get there in a minute. So, let's see. Yeah, okay. So the skills that you want to learn before you escape is knowing how to run. So if you hold down shift, you run. But you see how it takes a couple steps before you actually start speeding up? So that's important. So knowing how to run and jump, obviously spacebar. So if you're just moving forward even quickly and you hit jump, you'll move a decent distance. So let's go here. I'll show you this. So you can see I jump almost that entire distance right there. But if I back up a little bit so the run can take effect, so it's forward run and then jump. So there, I jumped almost twice the distance with that. Keep that in mind. That's very important if you want to go the escape route. So it's hold down forward and then immediately hit shift and jump, and you'll go further. It's a little hard to get the timing down in this game than other games I've noticed. Okay, so this is Klescher right here, and you can check how much time you have left coming up to the middle here. So we would normally be in here for an hour, so people can log out for an hour, but you can also go into the work mines. So there's a few things I'm going to show you here. There's a couple things that we can do in the mines. So the first thing we can do, come down this hallway, go through here. Now, isn't that interesting? That looks like a control room, doesn't it? We'll come back there. So typically this is, you'll notice that right now I can't, actually it does let me pull out my gun. That's interesting. Wouldn't actually let me do that before. But if you're...
Always keep an eye on your oxygen levels. Although there are plenty of refill stations, we can't refill your tanks for you.
Yeah, so you are on a moon right now, so you can take your helmet off anywhere in here. The second you go through that airlock, you're on the moon's atmosphere. We're on Aberdeen right now. So the commissary, you can come in here. So right now, there's no real reason to buy any of this stuff. The only reason, if your multi-tool got lost or stolen, which it might in the next version, you'll notice my merits are 0, and it costs 730. And there's food, water, all that. You're still going to burn water and food while you're down here. So you got to pay them to get water. And if you die, you'll just spawn in here. So there's no easy way out. So once again, you come in here, low gravity environment. We're in prison. So this seems really confusing at first. So I will kind of walk you through. You can drop down there. That green down there will kill you, so don't drop down there. There are 3 pathways you can go down. So number 3 is over there, number 1 is over here, and if you guess number 2 is over here, you're right. Now remember, Star Citizen is a game that uses signposting, so 1, 2, and 3. And so that'll be important later. I'm going to show you a couple things first. So your first thing that you're going to want to do is probably come in and start mining. So you just come down here, you're just looking for anything mineable. Typically anything up here there's not going to be rocks that you can mine up here. Sometimes you can turn on your helmet, helps a little bit. Probably best not to run. I'm kind of doing a speed run because I know these mines pretty well. I tested them enough times. I don't usually get a crime stat. I literally do this for testing just to see if things are working and doing bug reports and stuff like that. So here we go. So you'll see this right here. Once again, that's signposting. That's not saying you're entering mine 1. This is level 1 for mine 2. So remember, we went down the central mine there. And so each of these, it's kind of big, again, kind of confusing. What you're looking for, if you want to go deeper into the mine, is a green sign like that right there. So you can see that says 2. That leads deeper into the mine. And there's only ever one exit out of one of these. So there's always an entrance and there's always an exit. And then everything else is just going to be dead ends where sometimes you can find rocks. So I just want to find one rock, show that to you. So usually you can find, doesn't this feel safe? Klescher really puts a lot of effort into keeping people safe. That's what it's all about. Just come over here. There's a rock right there, I think. So there are little caches around where you can find things like shivs and water and food. You can't find anything really cool, unfortunately, but honestly, a shiv is going to be pretty nice when they start bringing in all the PvP aspects, but good luck finding one before the guy who was in here before you who got the shiv. I mean, you'll probably find the shiv sticking out of you. Yeah, so much as you'd expect, the higher levels aren't going to have much in the way of minables. And mining is actually my least favorite, and I think the least efficient way to get out of prison, but I did want to show you this loop. Well, it made a liar out of me, so that right there is a mineable rock. So what we're going to do, call that up, that's aphorite. Wait for it to go up. It's not bugged, which is good. We'll crank up the speed. So if you've ever done hand mining before, this is the trick to it. So you can sort of see the level is on the right side of the gun that's facing me. So it's at 73, now it's at 81, now it's at 59. We're trying to get it into that green area that's about halfway up, so you'll see it when it starts lighting up. Aphorite is the cheapest of the rocks. Haydenite is what you want, and it's only further down. So now we're going to back it off. See, it's starting to go up. We'll walk that down a little bit so it starts dropping, and we'll walk it back up. Walk it down. There we go. So now we can put this away. So there's your rock. So we're going to store that. And so here's a trick. If you get there and you just tap F, it'll do the default thing. A little bit of a quick hack. They mentioned it like 6 patches ago, but never mentioned again, so most people don't know that you could do that. So I'm literally just looking at it and tapping F. So the other way that you can do it is you look at it and your options are inspect, grab, or store. Store's the top one, so when I'm clicking F, he's picking it up and storing it. So there we go, same thing. And there. So now, whoa. Now I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here because I want to show you that process. This is the part that's usually bugged, by the way. So if it's going to bug, So again, that's 2, that's 1. The lower the number means you're going up. The higher the number means you're going down. So we're going to come down here. It even says exit. So we're coming back this way. And you've seen, well, no, I'll walk you through it in real time. So we'll just do this because the mines are deliberately maze-like. It is easy to get turned around down here. And again, in 3.18, this will be a PvP paradise. They're going to be, I think, upping the penalties for crime stats. I hope they think that through a little bit, because for new players, one of the reasons I'm making this video is for new players can kind of learn this system if they get trapped down here. Keep in mind you might need to fight, which is 0. So right click is a right punch, left click is a left punch. If you hold them both down, you block. Most people don't block. So if you block and you just back up, they're going to run out of stamina, and then you can do this. So the longer you hold down the button, the harder the punch. So jabs, big punch. There we go. So
here's a friendly reminder to leave all materials found during mining expeditions outside the living area. These might contain contaminants that may be harmful to other inmates.
They just want the money. So you come up here before you go back, and then you deposit.
Due to your recent actions, we've reduced time on your sentence. Isn't that great?
So if you're getting Haydenite, that'll go down quite a bit faster. So let's go re-up our oxygen. I'll show you the second option. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is related to enrolling at the very beginning, but I've never not gotten this mission. The problem is that if you're in prison with someone else, they can take this mission too. So just like you would if you were out in the free world, you're going to go your contracts manager, maintenance, inmate maintenance opportunities. So you can get 5,000 to 15,000 merits. Hello guests. We have recently been alerted that one of our oxygen dispensers has suffered a technical error. As you know, these kiosks are vital to ensure that you have plenty of oxygen handy while participating in our work release program. We are looking for any available guests to reset the kiosk. That should reconnect the kiosk to the network and resolve the issue. The first guest who's able to complete this task will not only be compensated with merits, but also with the satisfaction that they're making the workplace safer for other guests. Thank you. So we're going to accept that. So now, let's bail out of this. So you can see it's repair 2 kiosk, route 3, depth 9. So that just seems like gibberish, but what it's talking about.
Remember, delivering harvested elements can
And you're going to want to run, because you're going to run out of oxygen here. So route 3, so we know that is 3. So we're going to come over here to this line. And now we're going to be looking for the green numbers that go deeper and deeper and deeper until we get to 9. We're going to go 9 deep, guys. Once again, just a dead end. But you can sort of tell how they can expand out. They can expand out the area. This is an interesting place. I just wish they had followed. Just to be completely jerkish about it, I wish they had kind of implemented some of my ideas at first. The post that I posted back in 2019. Granted, that would have been a little bit harder to pull off. At this point, the only thing they need to do is roll back the crime stats on minor missions. I think there's actually a cache here. So again, we're looking for the entrance that has, so you can sort of see there's a red back there. It's not the one we're looking for. I think it's this one right back here. Yeah, this is it. So you can see right there too. So this is it. We're on the way. Dude kind of sounds like he's trying to take a particularly dry poop. Alright. Come on down here. Go through a tunnel. Not all of the hookups take this long. Some do. I think they're trying to test prison gameplay, and that's one of the reasons it... Tell I've been down this way before. I think that's one of the reasons that they're kind of upping SPK, Security Post Korea. I think they're trying to test out prisons, so they're basically going to make as many people prisoners as possible, which is kind of Klescher-esque, but I think it's a bad idea. Just this game isn't on as shaky ground as it was a couple years back. They can make mistakes, but they can't make a lot of mistakes. And I think that dumping a bunch of new players that come in, they hear there's a new patch coming, like a free fly and stuff like that. So you can tell we're at level 4 now. I think it's a mistake. So keep going here. So you see this is a whole level here, and we're past it. So we're on to the next level. So this one, I think we're on to 6 now. Again, we're looking for 9. So here's one of the oxygen kiosks. We are... So you can sort of see our oxygen is dropping. This isn't the one we're trying to fix. It's just you are running out of oxygen when you're down here, especially if you're spreading around like I am. So level 5, so we got 4 more to go. They're usually straight across, but not always. Some people have made maps online so you can look it up, but again, with all of these things, not always so relevant. And I am going to show you one thing further down here just because I think it's pretty. So again, there are caches everywhere, so if you look around and you kind of see a pile of rubble, sometimes it's not a bad idea to check it out, because there could be a water bottle or a shiv or something underneath it. Never in these hallways, it's always in the actual mines themselves, in the big rooms. So we're coming in here. So I was hoping I'd bump into cache. I used to remember where they all were, but I haven't done this game loop for a while. So it'll kind of look like this, but there'll be like a flat piece over it. And while I was doing that, I wasn't paying attention, so I think it's over here. There's one of these that's a little sneaky. I think it might be this one, where it doesn't give you the sign until you're much further in. Nope, you can see the red down there. Means it's a dead end. I think I just ran past it. I'll keep checking now. Yeah, so it'll look kind of like that. There's another mineable rock right there. That's aphorite again, I think. Here we go. So this is 8. So again, if you see a number and not exit, you're going deeper. Sorry, come down here. Another thing that they do that's a little sneaky is the deeper you go, the less oxygen is in those kiosks, which means that you have less time down there. There was one thing they were thinking of doing back when they originally dropped Klescher. They're talking about having another escape route down here. They never implemented it. I think it was something that they tested out, and then they just decided they wanted one exit to kind of simplify the level design, I guess. So you can sort of see how that one's red.
Your sentence has been reduced again. Keep it up. Congratulations. You have completed your required sentence in our facility. We at Klescher Rehabilitation are extremely proud to have played a role in your rehabilitation and hope that you've used this time to better yourself as a human and as a member of civilized society.
So condescending. So you'll notice that said 10,000 merits. So if you are trying to get out of prison, run this mission if it's available, because you'll be out in 5 minutes. As fast as you can run down here, and then you could almost backspace and kill yourself and spawn back in your prison cell, and it's a quicker trip, or you could just run back, because eventually death will matter. So we're going to go deeper. So this is level 9 down here. So it's down this way. So I'm going to take you to a part that's kind of cool. I'm hoping it's not down level 2. It is, I might have just screwed up, but life's an adventure. I'm going on an adventure. That's a really good Bilbo Baggins. You probably thought it was Bilbo sitting here, but it's not. It's me. Alright. And jump. So you can sort of see it gets more and more, we'll be kind and call it rustic. Again, places that you're going to find Haydnite are generally down here, if that mission isn't available. And you'll notice that it spawned up another one of those missions pretty quick. So I don't think I have ever gotten one shallow that doesn't give me like 10,000 credits. Seriously, every time I've spawned in prison, I've run that mission and I'm out almost immediately. And usually when I'm going to prison, I am actively trying to go to prison, like I was this time. So I believe Route 3 goes down to 15. But I just kind of wanted to show you what these all look like. Not that one, it's this way. Kind of hoping I'd find a cache, I think. Okay, so you know how I was saying that you could do backspace and just get all the way back up to the front without having to run there? Guess what that guy did. But you'll see this time the oxygen was all the way down here. So the oxygen is really at a premium. There is something there. What is that? Oh, it's a med pen, I think. But it spawned inside the rock. So, glitch. Doesn't help us. Yeah, so I think the thing that I really wanted to show you was in level 2. There's basically a cave system down here on a couple of the levels. Let me look around real quick and see if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, so you'll notice this doesn't look like the other caves. This originally was going to be a way that you could escape. It isn't now. But this, you'll notice, isn't the mine. This is an actual cave system. I don't recommend going into the cave systems unless you're pretty familiar with how the cave systems are laid out and work. But there's kind of a cool place to go. They might sneak in another escape route there eventually, because that was originally the plan. And instead they went for the way that I'm going to show you here. Alright, so I am going to manually run up, but I won't subject all of you to the same horror that this guy did or was trying to avoid. So, see me at the top. Okay, so here's another little cache. You can see sometimes you can get water bottles, and again, it's got another oxygen container. I actually stayed down here longer than I should have looking for a shiv, because the shiv actually does look kind of cool, but I couldn't find one. I'm not running all the way down to level 13 on this one. So see me back at the top and I'll show you how to get out of here. Okay, so we have just found our way back out of the mines. There's this guy here, another poor player. Since he's running, he's probably looking for looking to do that job. So let's say that you've cleared all your credits. So you come out here, you're not sure if you've cleared your credits or not. You swing down here. You look here. Eligible for release. So there you go. So we did it. This is one of those reasons that I think CIG is going to eventually be increasing the time for prison significantly one of these days, because you run that O2 mission, you're out in 5 minutes for pretty much any crime. You might have to run too, and that's if you killed half the server. So there, you're eligible for release. So what you do is you can sort of see there's another big red sign over here. These are all just living units, hexes, you might notice, which is where Grim Hex gets its name, Green Imperial. So
Ready to take the next step on the road to rehabilitation? Time to think about how you can make amends for all the wrongs you've done. Any negative can become a positive with a little bit of
So I'm just going to show you this. So you can go in there, you call the elevator, and you can leave. But we're institutionalized now. We want to live here. We don't want to live here. So I'll show you the one last option you got down here. Again, in 318, we're going to have more options. Somewhere down in those mines will be a relay station or a little comm unit or something, and you'll be able to get missions from them. I don't think it'll get you out of prison any faster, but hopefully it gives you reputation with like the Dusters or the Nova Riders or Ninetales. So notice I came back in just like I'm gonna go mining. What we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here, and what we're looking for should be one of these monitors. Oh, they might have changed this. Nope, there we go. So you can see right back there, 7548. And you can see how that little thing is clicking. Actually, never mind. I thought it was counting down. So we've got 7548. Remember that number. So look in that window, look on that screen. Klescher doesn't give a single fuck. Okay, let's go. So taking a right. Again, you're looking for this fan. See how it's got that opening there. Thankfully, the guards are really dumb. So again, forward, shift, and jump. Wait for it. Did I not do that right? This might be one of the things that's bugged. So let's try that again. 7, 5, 4, 8. Error. Yeah, so it's changed. So this is one of the things. Oh, if you fall down here, you're fine. Don't fall down there. You can just come over here. There's a little jump puzzle here, which actually this isn't necessarily a bad thing because the hey guard, I wasn't doing anything. So I hit the button, that thing didn't stop, so we're gonna go back, we're gonna look at it again just because I'm actually I'm not gonna do it because it gives you another crime stat. When it's working, you type that number into that keypad and it stops this fan and you can get through. And then you can start the escape route, and the escape route is a whole bunch of jump puzzles. It's kind of amusing the first couple times. After a little while it gets a little tedious. So let's see, so now it's still 7548, so try it again. I just want to see if it'll open. I haven't done that escape in a little while. Me and Night 55, when Klescher first dropped, we did this route until we had it memorized. So yeah, it's bugged, unfortunately. I think it'll hurt you if you might be able to glitch through. No, can't glitch through. So yeah, that's bugged, so you can't actually escape. So I was wondering about that. People were saying that Klescher was bugged, and I've never had the O2 mission fail, so I didn't quite know what they meant. They meant the escape route is bugged. So anyway, that fan will stop and you can kind of go back in and you're in a vent system, and then you kind of break into a cave system, and you can go through this sort of convoluted path through the cave system and escape. The catch is, we'll go up on inmate processing here. So the catch is, when you get to the surface, you're at Klescher in the middle of nowhere, so you can unlock a locker up there that gives you access to an Ursa rover. And with the Ursa rover, you can drive out of the sort of security zone around this prison, and someone can pick you up. The catch is, somebody has to pick you up. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're on the middle of a moon right now, and there's nowhere to go. So I think that's one of the reasons the people at Klescher aren't too worried if you escape, because where the hell are you gonna go? And they're right. Notice the gun? That's not kidding around. That will kill you. So we're going to go to the surface level. Unfortunately, so I'm going to conclude this with one of my thoughts here. So you do that and you spawn at Everest Harbor, which is over Hurston, or is over Lorville, which is my home port. So while we got the black screen of death literally here, so here we are. So we're back, our crime stat's gone, so we're free to play. We're in our noob suit, so we're good to go. So one of the things I wish they would have done with this is have it so you do go to the surface, and someone lawful would have to land at Klescher and pick you up. I think they'll do that eventually. But it would also be nice if Klescher were a trade area. So if one of my 5 and 5 of subscribers is a CIG dev that's actually working on this, which I think there's only like 1 or 2, they're specifically working on the prison. What would be awesome is to make Klescher a trade area where lawful traders could fly down, land, and drop off food and med supplies and pick up ore. It makes sense if they could pick up Haydenite, make Haydenite a tradable asset. Just my 2 cents. So that is prison gameplay right there. One time, if I can get Knight or Puppy on here and it's working, 318 I'll do another run through on the prison. We'll see if we can escape. We'll sort of see what the new gameplay is. But that's it for now. So like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. If not, tell me I suck down in the comments, and see me next time.